welcome to Ad America, the U.S. Embassy's American Center, with me, Andrea, as your host for today. Today, we are going to learn more about the admission cycle, preparation, and campus life in the United States and U.S. admissions preparations and beyond. But before we start our event for today, I have a little trivia question for you to answer. And the question for today is, which of the following is the most important aspect to include in a college admission essay? Is it A, detailed list of your academic achievements, B, a demonstration of your personality and character through storytelling, C, complex verbose writing, or D, an analysis of the current events? If you think you know the answer, you can submit your answer to our social media platforms, and the first person who is able to answer correctly will be receiving a shout out later in the very end of the event. And now I would like to introduce you to our moderator for today. We have our Education USA advisor here at America. Please welcome Mei Latupono.
Good evening, everyone. How are we doing today? Great, yes. My name is May. I'm one of the Education USA advisors here at America. And I know you guys are excited about our topics today, and we get to see someone who's flying so far away from the US right away to Indonesia just to meet you. So I would like to introduce you a little to Education USA. So we are an advising network under the US Department of States. We are in Indonesia. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with 10 advisors, 8 centers and 10 advisors. So we are here to help you guys. If you guys have any plan to study in the US or still thinking about studying in the US, we can help you, we can chat with you, and then we can also talk more about your options, about your struggles. If you guys are writing an essay right now, talk about the admissions, talk about your scholarship options, just meet one of the Education US advisors here, especially in Jakarta. We have 2 centers with 4 advisors, one at the US Embassy Jakarta and one here at America. But we also are reachable online, so if you guys want to see other advisors in Aceh, Medan, Malang, Surabaya, Makassar, and Samarinda, just book an appointment over there. You can scan the barcode, or you can go to the website there, calendly.com/Education USA Indonesia. Just book an appointment and see us. Okay, tonight we will talk more about the US admissions, how to prepare it, and we're gonna discuss more how you guys can boost your chance to go study in the US. And we have one great speaker for tonight. She is the director of the Ivanhoe International Center from South Dakota Mines. Beth Riley, I invite you to come to the stage. Good luck.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much to Education USA and Ad America for allowing me to come today to talk to you a little bit about admissions in the United States and how to prepare for that. And once you get to the United States, what should you do? So hopefully this will give you some information that is useful for you to make your journey to the United States. So let me first talk a little bit about the academic calendar. So we start in the United States, we start in late August, or probably the very beginning of September, and we go until mid-May. We usually have about 3 breaks. We have one in the winter time, and then one in March for spring break. Many of you have probably heard about spring break, and then in the summer. I think, May, you're going to be able to give my slides to anybody that asks for it later. Yeah, so if you're interested in my slides later, you can contact the Education USA office. Some of the links on here will work so that you can find some more information about different things that I have in my presentation too. So the U.S. academic sessions, most colleges have a semester or 15 to 16 weeks, and that's usually we have one in the fall and one in the spring. Some colleges have a quarter system, and some have a trimester system. So, and then of course, we do have times in the summer. And then you can also go to this link here by niche to find out a little bit more about that. So let's break down the application timeline for you so you kind of have an idea. So 12 to 18 months before you really want to start studying at college, you're going to want to start researching some programs. A little bit later on in my presentation, I do have a couple some options for you, some resources for you to be able to use so that you can research effectively. So, and then, it's really, really important to have conversations with your family. Your family is going to be very important to you as a kind of a lifeline when you're in the United States. You're going to feel homesick sometimes, and they're going to be able to help you. So you want to make sure that they're okay with you going away as well. And then you're going to want to build this comparison list. This comparison list will give you ideas about what colleges you want to go to, what are the admission requirements, what things are important to you, so your extracurricular activities. Does that school have that? And then, of course, deadlines, those other important things that you need to be aware of. So just make sure that you keep those things in mind. Again, a little bit later, I'm going to show you an example of a comparison list that you can use. And then start registering and preparing for entrance exams. What do I mean by that? So SAT, ACT. Most schools are test optional now, but it doesn't hurt to have those tests so that you can maybe get an edge, is what we say. So you can try to maybe get extra scholarships. Some schools will require you to have an SAT or an ACT to get a scholarship. Some schools will give you an extra scholarship if you have those scores. And then, as you know, keep working hard. I'm sure that doesn't have to be said, but I said it anyway. And then for graduate students, if there's any graduate students out there, make sure to start practicing for the GRE. That's one that a lot of universities are still requiring you to have. When you get 10 to 12 months out, you want to start attending virtual and in-person college fairs and information sessions. So I believe in October, is there a fair here in Indonesia, right, for students?
Yes, we will have an education fair in October.
Yeah. So that is a really good time for you to meet with college admissions people like myself and ask questions and get to know a little bit more about the school and find out, do I really want to go there or not? Because even when you're talking to that admissions person, you got to feel good about what they're telling you so that you want to go there. And then make sure to take those required entrance exams that are needed for the schools that you're interested in. Complete your application by the deadlines, and then research funding opportunities. Education USA website has a fantastic resource about financing your studies. Also talk with advisors from Education USA. They're really going to help give you a lot of information. I cannot stress them enough how much Education USA is just a great resource for you guys. For graduate students, you're going to want to make sure to talk with your professors, with maybe even researchers that you're interested in doing research with to find out a little bit more. Again, you want to make sure that they're a good fit for you as well as, and they're going to be seeing if you're a good fit for them. So you really want to talk with them a lot about the research that they're doing to see it. Do I really want to go there? Side note, I've had students in the past that have come to me and said, you know, Beth, I hate my professor, which is really sad. I feel sad when I hear that, but it's true. You know, you're not going to like everybody, right? So you just need to make sure that you have that upfront conversation with them beforehand to make sure that you're going to work well with them. It's a two-way street, basically. And then also make sure that you're taking the GRE so you get those scores in time to send those in, and finalize your statement of purpose and your recommendation list. When you do your statement of purpose, I know that AI is a big thing right now, and it'll become even bigger in the future. As you're going through and you're using AI to write your statement of purpose, if you do, make sure to review it and have others review it so that it doesn't sound artificial. Okay, so that is a big thing. When I look at like letters or emails that students have sent me, I can kind of tell when they've used AI, and I really can tell when they don't change something, and it's obvious that they didn't even look at it. They just had AI write it, they copied and pasted it into an email and sent it to me. And so when you're doing that for professors, for your statement of purpose to get into a school, they're gonna check that right away. Also, there's AI checker tools out there that they do use to see how much of it was written by AI. So having AI as a tool is a fantastic way to start the process, but revising it is going to make your chances even better to get into that university. Okay, so 6 to 9 months out, you're going to finalize your acceptance list. One note I would strongly encourage you to do, it is kind of a polite thing to do. If you decide, you know what, these 5 universities I'm still deciding on, these ones nah, I don't want to go to them. Just blanket email to all of them. You could put everybody in the BCC, but just say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in your university. Thank you very much. Then you can be done with it. I, as a admissions person, really appreciate that, because then I'm not constantly tracking down and sending you tons of emails that you don't want. You're probably not opening, but I still need to go through to see if you're interested in coming to my school. So just, you know, as a courtesy, if you could do that, that would be great for all of us on the other side of the computer. And then make sure you start your checklists, especially the I-20. In many countries, the visa process takes a long time, and so you want to start that as early as you can. I know that some places you can't start it more than 90 days before the start date. Some places you can start 6 months before, some you can start a little bit later. So every country is different, so make sure that you're starting the process as early as you can for Indonesia. And then make sure that you're sending official transcripts and other official documents that you need. For example, my school, we need to have the immunization records. So make sure that you're getting those sent in so that we can have record of that. For graduate students, make sure you're connecting with your major advisor, asking them questions. Are you going, do I need to do anything special? Is there any type of research or journal articles I can read to prepare myself for when I first get there? Okay, so 1 to 3 months, so you're almost at the finish line, and you're getting ready to get to the United States. So what should you be doing? Register for your orientations. A lot of schools nowadays have online orientations before you come to the United States. I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to, I know that things are busy, life is chaotic because you're getting ready, you're trying to pack, trying to get everything ready to go, but those orientations are so critical for you to, when you land in the United States, you're off running and you can get to do things, because your life is going to be so stressful when you get there already. It's a new culture. Language is going to be different. You're going to be hearing a lot of people speaking really, really fast, and you don't have any idea what they're talking about, and you're going faster, 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 and you're like, what's going on here? And the food is different, and people are doing weird things, and like, Americans are weird. What's going on with that? So to kind of save yourself from not having all of that added stress, get your orientations done before you arrive. A lot of those orientations are going to help you when you arrive to make sure that you're getting your bank account set up, that if you want to learn how to drive, that you can do that. So for example, South Dakota, we have a population of 800,000 people in the whole state. Okay, that's not a lot of people. And so it's really easy to drive there, and you can learn. If you've ever wanted to learn how to drive, you can learn. So a lot of my students will come into my office and go, Beth, look, I got my driver's license. And they're very excited and very proud of that, which is great, and I love to see that. And we usually take a picture together. So those are some things that in those orientations that you're getting beforehand, you're learning what do you need to do so when you get here to the United States that you can do that seamlessly, all right? And then, you know, you're going to connect with your roommate and, of course, pack. A lot of schools will have packing lists for you, what to bring, what to leave at home, things that you can buy there. Connecting with your roommates, connecting with other international students that are currently there is really going to help you a lot to make sure that, you know, you have a smooth transition to the United States. And then research your area a little bit. It's important to kind of know where you're going to. I had a student that came in and said, I thought South Dakota was in the south. Well, yeah, we are. We're south of North Dakota, but we're still way up in the north part, right? We're close to Canada, so we're nowhere near the south, even though it's kind of deceiving with our name. So he was visibly upset about coming to South Dakota, which is kind of sad for me, but he actually grew to love it, and he didn't want to leave when he graduated, which I thought was great. And then, so for graduate students, you want to make sure to, again, connect with current and new students, and then find suitable housing. Some universities have housing offices that will help. Some universities don't. So you need to figure out, where am I going to live? Especially for graduate students, there may or may not be graduate student housing where you're going. So you definitely want to check that out. And that's where you can talk with current students. They can give you a lot of good information about that. So, couple things to keep in mind. So the U.S. Department of Labor has a really cool handbook out online that can help you determine, like, what major do you want to study. So I'm going back to my very first slide, or one of my slides that said, you know, 12 to 18 months out, research programs. So if you're not sure, do I want to be, and I'm going to use a lot of engineering references because that's, my school is engineering and science. So do I want to be a computer scientist, or do I want to be a computer engineer? Those are different. One's based on software, one's based on hardware. So you can kind of look at this handbook and you can see, what is the median pay? What would a person that has a bachelor's degree make in a year? You can also kind of see how many jobs are out there. What's the job outlook looking like? So is it going up or is it going down? Do I want to stay in that degree, or do I want to write it? Do I want to try to think of something else? Also, I have a lot of students that ask me, what do you do? What do you do with a business management and technology degree? What do you do with a biology degree? My husband's going to love this. What do you do with a math degree, right? My husband's a math professor, and so he always gets that. What can I do with math? There's quite a bit that you can do with math. But if you go to this website, it will tell you kind of a little bit about what do software developers do? What do mathematicians do? And you can kind of have an idea. Is this for me, or do I want to look at something else? So this is, it's a really cool handbook that they have. And then stay organized. So before I said comparison lists, there's 2 comparison lists that I've notated here. One is Google Sheets, and then the other one is through the U.S. News and World Report. So those 2 are going to give you kind of cool spreadsheets. And here's one. This is from Google. And so you don't have to fill in all of that, right? But more information you have, the better you can compare that, the better you can decide which university is best for me. And then, you know, you can share it with your family so that they can look at it. And they may have suggestions as well. You know, oh, well, I thought you were interested in doing this. This school has that, but this school doesn't. So they can kind of help have a second eye to what you're looking at doing. Because this is a very big decision for you guys, and you have to be happy with your decision. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to talk about being successful once you get to your school. So how do you do that? I have a bunch of tips out here, so I'm going to kind of go through these and give you a little bit of an example of each one. So first and foremost, I can't say this enough, take advantage of the Education USA resources. They have tons of things out there for you to help you decide which college is best for you. The advisors, they're very they're wonderful at, you know, answering questions. If they don't know the answer, they will find somebody that does. They can help you contact schools, try to figure out answers to some of your questions. And then improve your language skills. So sometimes with English, you could be fluent in English and still you get to the United States and again, everybody talks really fast and you have no idea what's going on. If you kind of can listen to a lot of music, podcasts at a higher speed level. Listening to the news is a really good way, even though the news sometimes is depressing. Listening to the news can be a good way of learning a lot of English, and listening to it and getting used to that is really helpful. When you're in class, engage in the class. What do I mean by that? So some professors, shouldn't say some, a lot of professors, they give you points just for showing up for class. They give you points for answering questions. They give you points for asking questions. They are there to engage with you, to talk to you, to get your ideas, to pull that out of your head so that you can understand a little bit more about what the other person is saying, or maybe for other people to understand what you're thinking. That's the whole part of the U.S. system, is that give and take. You really want to have a lot of conversation. Me as an introvert, I am very nervous when it comes to talking in front of a lot of people. And so it was hard for me in college to be able to raise my hand and answer a question, because I'm like, oh, what if that's not right? I'm going to look stupid. You never look stupid. That's how we learn, right? So that's what the professors want to see. They want to see you using your brains and giving an answer, whether it's right or wrong. They would just want to see that you're trying. All right? And then utilizing the campus resources is so vitally important. If you need help, the tutoring centers, the writing centers, your professors, going to your professor's office hours. I don't know how many times I have physically walked a student to a professor's office. Whether they're there or not, we look on their door, and we can see when their office hours are, and I'm like, okay, you need to come back at these times. That's really important. Professors want to see you. That's why they have office hours. They want you to come in and ask questions when you have doubts. That's the whole reason for office hours. So use that. My husband, again, professor, says, I wish students would come to my office more to ask questions. They usually do it the night before an assignment is due, or the day of an assignment is due. Don't do that. Professors are not happy when you do that. So also, as you're building the relationship with your professors, you can learn a little bit more about the program that you're in. You could also learn a little bit more about, hey, there's a new class that you might be interested in, and the professor knows about it, and so they can talk to you a little bit more about that. Or there might be a recruiter on campus from a company, and the professor knows that you're interested in this company, or you're interested in the research that they're doing there, and they can say, hey, you want to go see this guy because they have some really good information, and I think you'd be really good at that. So these professors are actually looking out for the students, and they want to help you guys get jobs and be successful. And so building that relationship with your professors, it may seem a little scary at first. Again, I use my husband a lot as an example. He is a very scary looking person. And so students are scared of him. And so I just tell them, you know what, you just go in there and pretend he's this big teddy bear. Just put a teddy bear's face on his face. And they go in there and they start laughing and they have a good time. So just remember that professors may seem scary, but most of them are not. And then get involved in your campus life. Go to the extracurriculars. I know that you're there to study, but the extracurriculars are important too. You have to have that work-life balance, right? You have to be mentally and physically healthy to be able to continue on with your studies. It's so important. So getting involved in campus activities is a great way to not only relax a little bit, take your mind away from your studies and give your brain a break. It also is a great way to meet other people. It's a good way of networking with these people that are going to be future coworkers with you, possibly. And it's just a lot of fun. So, and then another thing to do too is that with your campus life, there's also professional organizations within most majors. So I always tell students, get involved with your professional organization. Not only is it a great way to network with companies and other researchers, but it's a great way to connect with your fellow peers, with peers from around the United States. You can sometimes go to conferences. They have job fairs at those conferences that you could try to find an internship, during your studies, or some work after you graduate. So there's all sorts of things, but those professional organizations are just critical. And student chapters, they give you a very reduced cost on those, so that's really helpful. I tell, for international students, it is a lot harder to get a job because you have that extra visa barrier to your title as international student. You have that international title, and then you have the visa title, and so that makes it a little bit more difficult sometimes to get a job. And so using different avenues, whether it's your school's career services, your professional organization's career services, LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster.com, maybe have heard of some of these job sites. This is what a lot of my students do to try to find jobs, and they're pretty successful at doing that. So you just have to go outside the box that you normally would if you were in your home country or if you were a U.S. citizen. So it is a little bit harder. It's not impossible. You can do it, okay? And that's another thing with the campus resources. Utilize your career services center because they're going to help you a lot. And then adapting to cultural differences. Get out there. Learn a little bit more about our American students. I love when our international students interact and can show a different way of thinking, a way of life. That is so important for our American students because some of our students will never go outside the United States, which is very, very, very unfortunate. So they have that little taste of your country, your culture when you talk to them, and it can change that American student's life, but it can possibly change yours as well. And it's just so vital, especially in this world that we live in today, that we're so connected in so many different ways, and connecting positively is so reinforcing and wonderful. And I just want to see that a lot more. Managing your time effectively. I said before that mental, physical balance and staying healthy. You just need to make sure that you're managing your time. You have your schoolwork you have to do, but you also need a little bit of fun time too. Okay, so make sure that you build that into your time schedule. I mentioned the healthy part of it, networking, talked about that, and then exploring your academic options. For undergraduate students, if you decide, you know what, I don't want to be a business major, I want to be a geographer, which I am. It's okay to change your major. You can do that at the undergraduate level. Graduate level, a little bit more difficult. It is possible, but there's a little bit more that you have to do. Undergraduate level, it's pretty easy. So if there's something that you want to do, or if you think, you know what, I like mechanical engineering, but I want to focus, I want to have a sub-degree, not a minor, but kind of you're branching off into, instead of doing the mechanics part of it, you want to do the, I lost my train of thought. You want to do the fluid side of things in that mechanical engineering realm, or you want to do the electrical side in mechanical engineering. You know, taking electrical engineering courses as electives can really help you open up your world a little bit more, open up your options as well. So talk to your professors about that. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about South Dakota. I talked a little bit before about it. South Dakota, we have 7 of the 62 national parks in the United States right here, right in South Dakota. Mount Rushmore, which is the one over here on the, I'm looking this way, my right. And then, of course, the beautiful Black Hills, which is where my school is located at. And then we have our Bison, which is also near where I live. So these are some just beautiful places that we have. We're very rural. We have a lot of nature. We have a lot of outdoor activities to do. So if you like outdoor activities, biking, hiking, mountain climbing, rock climbing, we have ski and snowboarding. We have a ski and snowboarding club on our campus. So students, if you've never done that before, you can actually go. They'll teach you how to do it. So, and they're like that at any school. You'll have all these opportunities that you can try. You've never done something before, but you can try it. So again, these are some of the places this is closer to my area than it is to the other side of the state. So I'm on the western side of the state. And then on the eastern side of the state is more agriculture. So you're going to see more mountains, not mountains, hills. and on the eastern side of the state is going to be a lot more flat. This picture right over here, that is our Badlands, and that is the national park as well. That is kind of a mini Grand Canyon is what we call it. And then the pictures on the top corners and the one in the middle here, that is downtown Rapid City where I'm from. So it's a pretty cool place. And then to get to South Dakota, if you ever want to come and visit, we would love to have you visit. We have pretty good flights in and out of Rapid City. And then we are right in the middle of the United States, so you can't get any more rural than the middle of the U.S. It's easy to drive. We call ourselves South Dakota nice. I think we try to be as polite as possible. We're pretty easygoing people. And it's going to be a lot different if you go to LA or to New York. It's going to be a little bit more fast-paced. People are a little bit more rushed. South Dakota, we're a little bit more laid back, a little bit calmer. There's a huge difference in the cultures. Even in the United States, there's huge differences. We're ranked number 14 in the U.S. For affordability. We don't have a state income tax, and we have a lot of low or no-cost activities to do. And then we're one of the safest places in the United States, probably because we don't have a lot of people. And then we're one of the least stressed states in the United States. And then just another cool thing is that we are in the top 3. We're actually number 1 in the best states to be a college student. So it's kind of cool. So South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa are the top 3. And that's because we're in the middle of the state. We're just laid back and chilled there. Here's my contact information. And then if you're interested in graduate studies at School of Mines, Rachel is the graduate person, so you can ask any questions to her if you want to. But that is my presentation, if there's any questions.
Yes. Beth, you want to take a seat? Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. Give a round of applause for Beth. Okay, yes. If you guys have any questions about study in the U.S., the admissions process, I know it's a bit complicated, especially for this time right now. I know everyone is start preparing, and the admissions are open. So what is the deadline for your school?
We have a rolling admission, so we do not have a deadline. But it is important to check out other schools wherever you're interested in going, making sure that you understand when the deadline is and getting that done at that time.
I see. So yeah, maybe I have a little questions about one of the timelines. Sometimes the students are taking the SAT, ACT, or the GRE or GMAT very closely to the deadline. And they sometimes got stressed out about what if I get a bad score and would I have enough time if I want to submit it for my admissions? So what do you think is the best solution for them?
Just to breathe and submit it, because sometimes some schools, like our school, will take those scores and adjust the scores, and then if they're better than the ones that you submitted previously, then you could be eligible for scholarships in that respect.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I think a lot of schools do that. So if they see that, these scores were actually better than the ones that you submitted before, then they might adjust that.
So you could actually submit more than once?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. But what is the ideal time for them to take the GRE or SAT for the undergrad before submission?
For the undergrad, I would definitely do it before before the deadline of the application deadline for any school that you're going to. So for us, we have a deadline, but it is for scholarship eligibility.
I see.
So if they get it done before January 1st for the fall semester or November 1st for the spring semester, then we will accept those up till that date.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, any questions? No? Yes, we have one question over there. Please state your name.
Hello, my name is Fatia, and I have a question. Is the GRE like really important? So for me, I have GED. So can it be like replacement or?
So the GRE is for graduate school, is like a test to be able to get into graduate school. So for the GED, that's a little bit different. For the GED is good to be able to get in for your undergraduate degree program, and the GRE would be something that you would use for a graduate. So we wouldn't use that at the undergraduate level.
Okay.
Does that?
Undergraduate is bachelor, right?
Y-
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
yeah. So
I'm a bit
yeah,
confused.
bachelor's and then master's and PhD. You would want the GRE. You need to take the GRE. You should take the GRE, depending on the school.
Oh, okay. So if I wanna apply for undergraduate degree, is the GED enough?
The GED is enough. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. But again, SAT or ACT for undergraduate degrees or GRE or GMAT for graduate degrees, they are usually optional, but you said that it doesn't hurt if you take the edge to take the edge. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But again, some of our students sometimes come in to us and they are saying something like, I'm not probably going to take it because I know I'm going to fail. They're scared already because
Yeah.
it's so difficult for them, especially for the GMAT 1 or GRE. So what is actually your suggestions when it comes to optional? Again.
Again, since it's optional, don't take it too serious. I mean, take it seriously, but don't worry about it if you get a bad score, because if it's optional, then that's fine. But if you happen to get a good, like you think, oh, I'm not going to get a good score, but then you do, how cool is that? And then you can actually use that to possibly get an edge on scholarships or a fellowship or a graduate assistantship. So that's just, even if it's optional, take it anyway, because you never know. It could help you.
Okay, so basically, again, it depends on like the students. Still, if they still don't want to take it, but getting the scores actually like could benefit more in the future, especially for the scholarship or financial aid.
Definitely.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely.
great. Any questions? Okay, please state your name.
Hello, my name is Berto. You can call. I want to ask regarding about the GMAT and GRE. Why are many I feel like universities could waive the GMAT or GRE? Because even in business school or just like another business professionals, why like even in the I feel like university, it could waive the GRE and GMAT.
So, is it possible to get a waiver?
Yes.
For-
Why is it waive the GMAT or GRE?
Oh, and the reasons
Yes,
to
the
get a
reason, yeah.
waiver. Is it possible to get a GRE or GMAT test waiver from a university? And what is usually the reason why they give out the waiver?
So for our school, the reason that they would possibly give a waiver is if a student has done some research that a professor is very interested in having that student come in, and then they would waive that score. So that's usually the reason why. And I would think that other schools are similar. That you would, if you have some like great thing that you've done, or you've worked at this company that's been doing research, and the professor is very interested in having you as a student, then they would probably waive that.
Okay, but again, it depends on the school, right?
Does depend on the school.
Yeah,
Yep.
so probably you would also want to like email the admissions in any school that you're thinking of applying. So okay, but also not only about the SAT, the test scores. I heard many schools also you could actually get an application fee waiver. Is it possible to get?
So some schools do have a waiver, and some schools do not. So, for example, all of the state schools in South Dakota, we cannot give a waiver. It's because we are a public institution and we are governed by a board of regents. So the board of regents determines what we can and cannot do. So they say, nope, you can't do that. So we can't do that. So I wish we could. It would be nice, but
Yes.
yeah. But there's some schools out there that would give you a waiver. They might ask you for a reason why. And sometimes some schools have open admissions day, which means that they'll waive the application fee at that on that day, and so those are options for you. But sometimes getting on the mailing list of your top picks, again using that comparison Google sheet, and getting on those mailing lists, and you can find out more information that way too.
Okay. Yes. Do we have any more questions? Okay, one over there. These are very interesting questions, I feel.
Okay, hello. My name is Tasha. I want to ask maybe like some questions. First, like, so I saw like some university. Yes, it's right. Like GRE is optional. So I want to know like if uh, if I don't submit the GRE, will it impact to my admission? And also like they said that what makes difference is about personal statement, right? So I believe like yeah, different university have different goals. Like in your perspective, like yeah, in your perspective, like what like is it achievement or something like that that maybe like I make the impact of something or maybe the contribution like which one that uh, yeah make a higher chance to get the university. Do you get it my point?
So the first question would be, does it hurt if she doesn't submit the GRE? And then the second one, what kind of achievement that can help her to boost your chance to get admitted to the university, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Okay, so it again, you have to look at the university of where you want to go to, whether they require the GRE or not. If they don't, then you don't have to worry about it. It's again, it's optional. So if you decide that you know what, I don't want to submit my GRE or I don't want to take it, that's okay. Um, if the school is optional. Um, so for the second question was
The kind of achievement that can help her to boost getting accepted.
so the big thing is to figure out what professors are doing research that you've done work in. So at your undergraduate, your bachelor's degree, you know, did you do some kind of research, or after you graduated, did you do something in the company that that this professor would be really interested in doing, and then you would write about that to get the professor's interest, because basically at the graduate level the professors are looking at your applications and they are looking at your achievements, what you've done, any research that you've done, any papers that you've written, other things that are that align with their research, and that's what's going to make them want to admit you under them as a graduate researcher or a graduate teaching assistant. Does
I
that?
see. Does that
Excuse me, like so it won't impact if I don't submit the GRE if it's optional. It won't impact the yeah.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
hurt? I
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, no, it won't hurt. If it's optional, it's not going to hurt. If you do not submit it, it's not going to hurt it.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get it. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Beth, I'm really curious about the second questions again. I know that probably in STEM area or field, having a good academic would help the students to get into the schools, right? Like having a good math scores or basically like any science scores. But does have any say volunteering activities or getting active in extracurricular would help them to get higher chance to get into the school, or would that actually just a complement to the academic?
So it does depend on the school, and I think most of it is it complements your admission package. So for most state schools, we kind of require just the minimum because we're state schools, so we can't. We have to look at everybody the same, right? And so we're not looking at extracurricular activities that you've done, or if you have a certificate in, if you got national honors at a chess competition, like that's awesome. And I'd like to talk to you more about that. However, I can't use that in my admission decision. I have to use just what is required of you for admission to our state schools, and then other state schools are like that. If you're looking at MIT or Yale, then they're going to look at your extracurriculars, and they're going to use that to decide, okay, these two students are exactly the same academically. This one has more volunteer humanitarian projects that they've done. They did some research in this global crisis area or something like that. That's going to raise your level up, and that's what's going to probably get you admitted to those more, Ivy League schools.
I see. So basically, like research about the schools and get to see what fits you and how you fit with them would also like help you to know or like see that if you have a chance to get into that school.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any more questions? There's one over there.
Ya, terima kasih. Thank you. Boleh nanya pakai bahasa Indonesia nggak?
Sure, I can help translate it for
Okay.
you.
Thank you beforehand. Pertanyaan saya yang pertama itu, ketika kita mau mendaftar untuk program yang mungkin graduate.
Can you please speak louder?
Oke. Untuk program graduate program gitu ya. Bagaimana kita menunjukkan atau menonjolkan diri kita yang lumayan jauh dari profesor dan belum pernah dilihat sebelumnya oleh profesor di sana terkait dengan rencana studi kita. Itu yang pertama. Kemudian yang kedua, ini berkaitan dengan opportunity untuk kerja di atau sebagai riset asisten dari profesor itu apakah terbuka? Terima kasih.
Is it for undergrad or graduate degree?
Exactly for graduate degree.
Graduate.
Yeah.
Okay, the first question is how can we show our achievement characters, our basically like what we have right now, especially to the professors, because it's going to be our first time meeting them or talking to them. So how are we going to be able to show that side of us to the professors? Through the admissions process, yes.
Okay, so usually if you do a statement of purpose, what they call a statement of purpose, or basically a summary of your achievements. So you want to talk about, what you've done, and what your interests are, how you want to explore those interests at the school with that professor. And so that's where using AI is a fantastic tool to get you started, right? Because you can put in there, I want to, here's my CV. You can input that in the AI, right? And then you can say, I want to write a statement of purpose, and then it'll it'll just bring something up, right? But then you need to go through it and make sure that it's in your voice, in your way of thinking. You can't just copy and paste that into a letter to the professors. And then making sure, talking with somebody like Mei and have her review it and making sure that, it doesn't sound artificial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Beth, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Basically, like, you can do it from your essays, like statement of purpose. Okay. And then
Yeah.
the second question, what is your name again? Gamma. So the second question would be, what is the chance of being a research assistant or a teaching assistant in the schools? Is it possible? And how we can do that?
It is definitely possible, and it does depend on your background, what you've done in your bachelor's degree, and what you've done since then. So we have a lot of our research assistants, your graduate research assistants, that their work was doing some kind of molecular biology of some kind, right? And so they worked in a laboratory, and so that made them appealing to the professor to want them to come in and pay them to be a graduate assistant. So, and teaching assistants are a little bit easier because there's not much, there's research that goes on, but you're basically teaching labs and things like that. So it's not hard, but have you taught this lab before? Have you taught a similar lab before? And that's going to make you more appealing to the professors as well.
I see. Is it answering your questions? Great. Awesome. Okay, Beth, maybe I have one questions about the transcript, especially for graduate degrees. Many schools sometimes ask them to do another process through the WES. Some of them do not. So how long does it take, and how it?
Are you asking about how the process when you go through
Yes.
WES or
Yeah.
ECE or
Yes,
Trans?
can
Yeah.
you? Because we have a lot of questions about that sometimes from
Yeah.
the.
Evaluation companies. A lot of schools appreciate having those just because then they don't have to try to figure out the GPA, the grades for this class or that class. It makes it easier for the professors to do that. So at the undergraduate level, not a lot of schools have that, but at the graduate level they do, because it's the professors that are looking at your transcripts, and so they want to see that. Sooner you can get that evaluation done, the better, because you can share that with many schools. It doesn't have to be just for one school. You can actually send the report to multiple schools. So it does, unfortunately, it does cost a bit of money.
Yes.
And that's the downside of it. But it is nice that you can share it with more than one school, and you're not paying like a huge cost up front at the beginning. But to get that done right away, the process, you have to have the official transcript sent to the company, and then they do the evaluation. I believe it takes maybe 2 to 3 weeks, depending on their load of what they're doing. And usually, if you're doing it right before the semester starts or right before the deadlines of a school, it's going to take longer because more people are applying, right? So you start out where the deadline is way over here, and you start at this point, and there's not a lot of people that are doing that evaluation. And then the closer you get to that deadline, here's all the people in the
Yes.
queue, right? So that's where you just want to, again, you want to have a lot of organization and preparation and making sure that you're checking those boxes.
Yes. Go back to the timetable
Go
again.
back to the timetable and the comparison list.
Yes.
Mark your
Okay.
calendars.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
Sorry, one more question. If the university for IELTS requirement is only require overall bands around 7, will they still consider if one of them below 6?
Okay. So for the 4 skills on the IELTS,
Yes.
so one of them is below the requirement. Is
No,
it-
I mean the overall is past
Oh, okay.
7, and but one of them below the 6.
Below 6.
But
so
the requirement
yeah,
is
the overall
7.
7.
So I think a lot of schools, it depends on the school, whether they're really looking hard at, the every individual level or not. Usually I kind of take a look at that, but I'm looking at the overall to see what you have. I'm not too worried if you have kind of a low score in your listening skills. Listening will be developed as you're in the United States and you're learning more and more. And that's where I say again, practice your English. Listen to podcasts, English podcasts. Listen to news programs, things like that. Because that's really going to help with your listening skills. But if you have kind of lower schools, but they're still kind of they may be a little bit lower, but they're still above what is required. I think you're fine.
Okay.
So basically, just check with the schools as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
Some schools are very specific about the
Yeah, they are.
requirements. Yeah. And some schools are like, yeah, it's okay as long as you got the final score is 7 or like the final band is 7, you're good. But some schools are very meticulous about, yeah, everything should be like above 5 or above 6. So I guess check with the schools, right?
So so I would say that if you're going to a really large school like Berkeley or NYU or something like that, they're going to pay extra attention to every single score and every single, all the grade. They're going to be very meticulous about it.
Yes.
Smaller schools, they probably will have more resources available to help you, so they're going to be a little bit more lenient to help you.
But in the website it's only still overall band, not the requirement every pitch.
Yes. Maybe check with the school. Just send them
Yeah.
an email.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Beth, I have another questions for the undergrads. I know that some schools have the early decisions or early actions and then the regular ones. But do you think that applying for the early decisions or early actions would benefit more than the regular one, or like higher chance of getting accepted than the regular ones, or not?
Usually, applying earlier is best. But if you're a good student, then they're going to want to take you. And so, if you're, and sometimes, life happens and we get it and things get in the way and you can't apply as early as you want. So, we understand that as well.
Yes.
There's some things, but the earlier you do get in, maybe the better chance of scholarships that you might have.
Yes, for the
That's the
scholarships.
big thing, is the scholarships.
I see. How about for the graduate admissions? Because I know that they sometimes open like the first round, the second round, and the third round, and then they sweat so much so that they can apply for the first round, and then they would still like, oh, I still haven't finished my IELTS, or like my IELTS is still not good enough to apply in the first round. Does it hurt their chance to if they apply for the second or the third round?
No, it should be just fine. Yeah.
We have a lot of kind of questions. As well.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. I get those questions too.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Any other questions? now that I'm probably gonna ask you about the PhD one, because I know that many PhD students have to get approved by the professors first before applying. So how, for as an admissions or like part of the university, how long should they reach out to those professors before applying? Or because I know that some of the students are already contacting the professors, not getting an answer, so gotta find another professors, still gotta wait. So like, what is the process, or like how long should they approach to those professors before applying?
So I would say a good 12 to 18 months before you actually want to go to school there, start reaching out to the professors, making sure that your interests line up, the professor and your interests are compatible. That's really going to help. And then a lot of our professors, when they see a really good student, they're like, yeah, we want you. You need to get going. And sometimes we have professors that will contact us like 2 or 3 months before semester starts. Like, we want this student. We need to get him here. And I'm like, okay, but the visa process is gonna it takes a while. So I think the thing that you always need to keep in the back of your mind, no matter if you're a PhD student or a bachelor student, is that visa process. How long is it going to take? Because some countries it takes a long time.
I see.
And some countries it's 2-3 weeks and you're done, right? Wouldn't that be nice if it was like that for every country? But it's not. So you got to really be mindful of that process.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So so all the process are important from the admissions until the visa process, and then you leave for the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. Last questions. Oh, we have 2. Okay, great. We still have more time.
Okay. Siapa duluan? Yes, okay. Okay, hello, I'm Fatia again. I have a question. Is it in general hard to find scholarships, like full pay scholarship in America?
So full ride, I don't know about the full ride scholarships. For partial scholarships, there's usually pretty good partial scholarships out there. For full ride, I believe that it would be a little bit more difficult for that. You have to probably be an exceptional student to have a full ride.
How about in your school? Is it or for any degrees? Do you guys have any scholarships or financial aid for international students?
So unfortunately, we don't have any financial aid for international students. We do have partial scholarships for students that have, at the undergraduate level, a 3.0 and an SAT. They have to have an SAT or an ACT. So we are test optional, but for scholarship eligibility, you have to have that score. So
basically just check with the schools, because different schools usually have different kind of scholarship or financial aid.
Definitely. If you're looking at private schools, they're probably going to have more financial help for international students. Public schools, not as much, because we do have to work within the state, local, federal government processes.
So check with the schools again. And also probably the level of study, right? Because sometimes in Indonesia, for undergrad, versus the graduate degrees, they usually have different kind of scholarship offered by the government, or again with Fulbright, they will have different kind of scholarship to offer. If you're applying for masters, you can apply for either Fulbright or LPDP, if you ever heard. But for undergrads, sadly, they still do not have that fully funded scholarship for 4 years. So different kind of scholarships, right? Yeah,
and then also like just put it into a search engine, scholarships for international students. The resources that Education USA has for funding your education, that has some really good tips and information on there as well. So
yes, just book your appointment with us. Okay. Yeah, the last question from our
You can,
participant.
yeah. Maybe I want to ask about the GPA. Yeah. So, if I want to apply like top universities in the US, so basically like my GPA was like 3.7, but I saw like in the top universities like the average of GPA about like 3.8 above like that. So even though like I have many achievements, but like outs, but not academic. So do you think like if I apply to that to those top university, do you think I would get a better chance, or I would choose yeah, any university that fits on me?
So with the GPA, is it really that scary? So-
It can be. So depending on the school, if you want to go to a really top school, again, like Yale or Columbia or things like that, yeah, you have to have a pretty stellar GPA and a lot of extracurriculars, a lot of good test scores and things like that, because there's a lot of students applying from all over the world. For smaller schools, it's going to be a little bit less. Um, the GPA is still important, but you're going to have a better chance if you have a higher GPA to get into a second tier school, a second tier or third tier school.
But is it, for example, say the minimum requirement is 3.0, but the students have like 2.9?
Right.
Do you think they should still apply, or is there any other way for them to apply?
I would say still apply. You never know that, because, for example, we're looking at our schools within the state. We're looking at not only the GPA, but we're looking at other test scores. And if you have that SAT or ACT, that can also help us decide and say, hey, listen, it's, yeah, they're 1%, like a percentage
Yeah.
below what we require, but they had the stellar SAT scores, so why not admit them? They're obviously good. They're good students. I think they'll do well here. I'm not going to worry too much about it. If they're a lot lower, some schools have an admissions review committee, and they will take, like I take some students to that admissions review committee, and I say, okay, so at this student, yeah, they did okay, and we all know COVID kind of messed things up a little bit, and a lot of people didn't get very good grades during COVID, and so we have to look at that as well. And so what happened during this time? When you go to admissions review, you have to write an essay about why were why did your grades go down a little bit, and then that gives us an idea too. Well, okay, so the student realizes that the grades went down because of this situation issue that they had, but they understand that, and this is how they're going to make up for that.
I see.
And so that usually helps. And yeah.
So you basically do not only see just the GPA, but the overall of the admissions documents.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, Beth, one last question from me would be, what is the common mistakes you find on those people who are applying, and how to avoid them?
So when a student contacts me, and I can obviously tell that they've never looked at the website first to find the answers. So doing research first before you contact the admissions person is really important, because my colleagues and I talk about this all the time. I have over 100 emails every day that and that I get when I first come into the office, and then throughout the day I'm still getting more on top of that. So going through and I see maybe 6 or 7 emails, the same question, how do I apply? Well, it's pretty easy on the website to find that information. So that is one common mistake that students make is, just a little bit of research
Yes.
is really important. And then if you're like, well, I don't understand what this means, or if you
clarify.
if you can clarify that, that's when it's a great way to start that conversation with the admissions counselor.
Yeah. So not only do the research, but do the research thoroughly. Like really understand what you're reading on the website, and then if you have any more questions, then you reach out to the admissions.
That's what that Google Sheet is for. So look at the Google Sheet.
Yes. Do the Google Sheet. Okay, Beth, thank you so much. I know that you traveled so far from South Dakota.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So yeah, if they have any questions, they can reach you out
Yes, definitely.
directly. Yes, and also you can reach out to us with Ad America or Education USA. And thank you so much for coming tonight. I'll give it back to Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beth and Kami, for today's session. I hope it answers all your question about going to study to the United States. And earlier, I also asked a question, which was, which of the following is the most important aspect to include in a college admission essay? And the answer is B, a demonstration of your personality and characteristic through storytelling. Congratulations to Cindy Isabella from Instagram for answering the question correctly. And if you find today's event was fun, please follow us on our social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at AT America. And please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and newsletter as well. And with that, we have reached the very end of today's session, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again with me, Andrea, and see you at the next At America event. Bye-bye.